Oh, live.
And we're live. Hello, everyone.
Hey, hey.
Hey, we're back. Elevate in life. How to elevate in life. Is it how to
Okay.
elevate in life or just elevate in life? I think the statement is elevate in life.
Yes.
And our goal is to teach you how to elevate in life. And so if you're watching here, give us some thumbs up. Hey, I'm here. I'm watching. We are kicking off the holiday season.
Oot, oot.
Are you cooking?
Nope.
Who cooking in your house?
I don't know who's cooking in my house, but I'm going over my husband's family's house, my family now. But I will be going over there. I probably will end up doing some minor cooking for my mother, but I'm not doing no full fledged spread.
And who is this person that's going to her husband's house to get all the good eateries? Who
The
are you?
person that's going to be bringing some cutlery and sodas.
Okay, so Miss Danielle,
Yes.
what do you do?
What do I do? I am Danielle MacArthur of DCDR Solutions. I'm a small business entrepreneurship coach that focuses on establishing the fundamentals for people that are transitioning from that side hustle, want to make it a real business, want to build something, build that legacy and all that generational wealth that everybody talks about, but getting people to
Mm-hmm.
understand what that actually comes with.
Mm-hmm.
Because people hear it, but they don't believe it. And she's fluffing. She's
You know how you kind of can't get caught up in your reflection. Um,
I'm trying not to right now because I'm giving myself Maya Angelou vibes.
it's all natural.
It is very.
Mm-hmm. Um, and I'm Sheela Little, right? I am the owner or the creator of the Stop It Now framework, where we help people to stop doing the things that stopping them from, ultimately getting the life that they desire and deserve. And, I'm excited about this framework and this process. Why did I do that? Because as a therapist and a coach and a mindset person, I found that a lot of times people just try to add stuff to their life, and as a consequence, I figured, you know what? Let me kind of talk about what we need to stop doing. Some momentum in some areas that just need to stop, and so we can neutralize and really create the vision for our life. And that's who I am. LMSW, 20 years of therapy, you know, business psychologist, yeah, soon to be doctor,
Soon to be.
and a mother, right? Who finna be cooking tonight? These sweet potato pies, greens, beans, tomatoes, slam, spring. You name it. So yeah, excited about that. But you know what? Most of all, I'm excited about
What's that?
our show topic. So you're at Elevating Life, how to elevate in your love of self, your interactions, your focus, and your energy. And we apologized last week. I had a personal thing that I had to kind of go out, and I thought we scheduled one, but we didn't. And so, but we're doing part two of this conversation. So, how to elevate in your love of self, your interactions with others, your focus, and your energy. And so, as me and Danielle kind of started to talk in this last, in ending out the year, I think we want to kind of go in deep with these acronyms, right? And so we
Yes.
started off with like your love of self, which
Yes.
is important. So we had our part one. If you guys haven't watched that, go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel, and then go to our folder, Elevating Life, and watch those. Um, but we started off with that, and we wanted to come back because that was kind of a real healthy conversation.
What?
And I'm like, you know what? I think we're going to have a part two to this conversation. Right. And so today's show is love yourself. So instead of love of self, which was part one, it's love yourself. Miss Danielle, be, well, let's go into our mindful moment. Take a deep breath. So much is happening. I'm
Yes.
so excited.
Yes.
I need to get that on the shirt. So let's take a deep breath in. Bring ourselves center. You know, here's the thing about breathing that I think we don't understand. It actually is a refocus in a center. And believe it or not, Miss Danielle, part of self love is learning how to breathe, and they actually have practices called breath work.
I was just about to
And
say,
and a lot of, a lot of times we don't even realize how shallow our breaths are, or when we're in these anxiety mode, or when we're frustrated or angry, how like shallow the breath goes. So, the mindful moment is really the intention to, let's take a deep breath, right? Let's refocus and recenter, because I do feel like, one, that's a benefit for you in your life, but two, it also brings you center for this conversation. So you guys, if you have any questions, make sure you comment, make sure you like, and make sure you share this post. It may not be for you, but it definitely may help somebody around you. So, get a gift of giving this holiday season, and hit that share button, and then give us a subscribe on our YouTube channel. You agree?
yes,
Okay, so my question,
yes,
love yourself. How is that? Is that important, Miss Danielle?
it's extremely. I think I just learned this like in the past couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you know yourself the longest, but it's one of the many things that is not taught.
Yes. What is taught, Miss Danielle?
Not that. You're taught to love other
Other
people. You're taught
people?
to love your parents, your children, your husband, your mate. You're taught to respect your coworkers and your boss and all this other stuff. But I missed
Yeah.
the love yourself class.
In some way, the whole, oh, what about me in this equation is left out. And then you grow up and you focus on, like our conversation last week, we focus on self confidence, we focus on self worth, right? But then, like, it's like we're waiting for someone to love us,
Yes.
and it's like, oh, I can't wait to, Prince Charming come in and save me and love me, or my friends to love me, right? And in some way, some people feel like that is the piece to the puzzle.
Yeah. And no.
That's the last piece that I need. I need somebody to come in and love me. And here's the reference for that. Because if you love me, then you'll allow me to see myself better, or to in some way um, recognize me, or tell me some things that I think I believe in myself. But if you say it, then that'll mean it's true.
Yes.
Have you ever
You
been
look
in that stage?
yes, yes, like up until about 5 years ago.
I think it's just interesting though, right? Like the stage that we through. I think your mic is kind of giving us some feedback, but
Uh-oh.
I think it's just interesting how we will hold on to that narrative that if you love me, or when somebody comes in and loves me, then I can love myself, or they'll validate, or in some way they'll lift me. What is that? What is that thing I'm looking for? What is that in the when somebody comes into my life, and hey, we got to find a name for the audience, because I'm gonna keep saying audience. Hey fam,
Hey, fam.
yeah. So, hey, family, tell me, like, what is that? What is that missing space? So, if somebody comes into my life and love me, then I will dot 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 fill in the blank. I will be able to what, right? And if you guys know what I'm talking about, give us some hearts, because I just remember going to this through this stage and feeling like, with my friendships, with my parents, you know,
We ain't
I'm
gonna
a
go there.
I'm approved. I'm approved to my parents and my family how good I am. And once they see it, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I felt like the heavens was gonna crack, and life was going to expose this whole nother world to me. What was your journey like?
Mine?
With
Oh,
the dot dot dot. Once somebody comes in and loves me, what would happen to you? for me, it was like the heavens was gonna crack, and then they was gonna realize that I'm just this awesome person, and then they're gonna treat me, better, or and then they're gonna love me unconditionally and be there for me and support everything I do. It was like it was a couple of things that they was gonna do once they found out. What was your blank space?
Mine was more, I will have this TV family unit that I grew up watching.
Mm.
Because for me, so much of my influence came from TV and movies, as a lot of people. And so that's all you saw. Because if you don't
Mhm.
have the best representation in your home, then you're gonna go to the next best thing. And so that was for me, like, okay, if I just get somebody, then we'll have that little slice of the American dream, of, whatever. I don't even know. It was it was just the for me, it was always, I wanted to stay once I had kids, because
Mhm.
I have the pre kid me and the post kid me.
Mhm.
But once I had kids, it was like I wanted this cute, stable family. And it's like, okay, I just gotta find somebody to love me so we can have this cute, stable family.
Mhm. And then what? So that cute, stable family would do what? What would that? What would that do for you?
It meant happiness. That was my avenue into what I thought was happiness.
So then I'll be happy.
Yes, and then I will be happy. Then I won't have to keep chasing something.
Mhm.
Yes.
I think your mic still is.
What is going on?
Yeah. So I think that that's interesting that that will be happiness. So look, I'm reading this book. It's called Emotional Management, and it talks about emotions, and it says that 50% of our emotions are hereditary, right? They're just given to us. It's just genetic, right? So if you didn't grow up in a happy family, then genetically you're 50% not likely to be happy. Then it's 40% is you, like your diet, your mindset, your, you know, the way you think, that's your mindset, the way you eat. And then only 10% of your emotions, Miss Danielle, is environmental. That has to do with your finances, that has to do with your relationship. Isn't that something?
That is, but it reminds me of the saying where it's like, okay, if you grow up in a household with an alcoholic, you're either going to become an alcoholic or you're never going to want to drink alcohol. I feel like that kind of fits that model, that 50
Mm-hmm.
50,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how much you bring in. But I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's kind of
And
scary, the hereditary portion, though.
yeah. But listen, so okay, that means now what I thought about was, wait, so you mean only 10% of my happiness is actually activated outside of me? And here I've spent 99% of my time trying to make the things outside of me create a happiness that 50% is genetic that come from my family, and 40% is my responsibility. So it's only 10% of my happiness that has to do with my job, the car I drive, the relationship I'm in. And here I'm going taking 99% of my life to, in some way, you know, be happy. And I think that a lot of people is looking outside of themselves for happiness, right? Outside of themselves for this. And it's only 10% of what happiness is, or your emotional state in general. Is
Yeah,
only 10% of what's going on outside of you. I thought that was profound.
that's a small slice of sweet potato pie, man.
That's like a slither.
That is a slither.
Right? And I think that this is why this conversation is so important, right? Because you know better, you do better. So if
Yeah, that part.
if 50% of my love, if we talk about emotions, is genetic, right?
Hmm.
40% is what I do, right? And my diet, my mindset, and only 10% of what my mate can contribute to that, what My kids can contribute to that. Well, my friends can contribute to that. I mean, they got a little sliver, right? Each one of these areas, I got a lot of work to do, right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking that the family is thinking, oh, wait, I got a lot of work to do, right? And that's not what we were taught, right? I'm taught like find a man to make you happy, get a job that's gonna make you happy, make sure your kids get good grades and stuff and they healthy because that's gonna make you happy. And what the book suggested was that you can get that, but if your default of happiness was here, so you'll get that and it'll peak your happiness, but then you'll default back down again. And have you ever experienced that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
All the time.
So I can remember getting my first house, 2,500 square feet, I think it was 2,700 square feet, something like that, 4 bedrooms, boom, happy. And then as soon as I got it, it was like, okay, what's my
Womp,
next high? You know what I mean? Get the car, boom, okay,
womp.
degree, and then I found myself chasing, right, these things that I felt like was going to make me happy, not even realizing, wait, that's only going to contribute to 10% of my happiness. And I'm just chasing things,
Yes.
chasing, relationships, friendships, dollars, coins, you know.
But part of it is societal and cultural pressures too. Because,
Yeah.
like, perfect example for me, which real estate people love saying this, and it's no shade or anything to real estate people where they're like, oh, your first house probably isn't going to be your forever house.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, why is that? And when they say that, then you're hesitant to say, no, I really love my first house. And yes, I
Mm-hmm.
may want to buy other house. But a lot of this is societal pressures where you're shunned when you say the opposition to the love yourself model.
Mm-hmm.
And when you become knowledgeable of yourself and what you're comfortable in, it's almost like you don't want to tell anybody because it goes against the norms
Mm-hmm.
and it's uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm hearing you right, you're saying so when you do things to make that you're comfortable with doing, that's giving you satisfaction on the inside, that there's narratives outside of you that creates the disbelief that,
Yes.
oh, I need to be doing something different than this thing that I'm doing here. And it'll disrupt that ability for you to really think like, oh, but this do make me happy. And it's my first
Exactly.
house. Or I'm driving in a, 2000 some car and I'm happy with this. I don't need the bigger car. But there's a narrative in society that's saying, no, happiness looks like
Yes.
this and this and this and
Loving
this.
yourself looks like, even to go as far as that, loving yourself means doing this and doing this. Like, no, it means something different to every individual.
Yeah, because
And you
loving
have
yourself,
to, like you said, that 40%, you have to define
yeah, because
what
loving
that is.
yourself look like getting out there and in the yard and I
Yeah, that's
mean
me.
in
I'm
agriculture and
I'm
yeah,
cutting trees down. I'm burning stuff. I'm digging up dirt. A lot of
yeah,
that
yeah,
ain't everybody's love yourself.
yeah. So let's talk about that then. So what is love?
Ooh.
And I mean, family, you know, y'all can answer this too. What is love? Because when I get y'all my answer, y'all may, no, I'm gonna say this. Y'all gonna be like, yep, I like that. I ain't even gonna spit anything on me. So, what do you think love is?
So my go-to phrase has always been love is like the foundation of a house.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the entire house,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a very important piece that
Mm-hmm.
kind of holds it together and establishes the boundaries and whatnot. Um, because I'm way too technical of a person because now it's like, is this emotional love? Is this visual love? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
kind of love are we talking about? But
Mm-hmm.
I think in anything, it's just it's a foundational piece of something that you build upon. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And see, and I think love is a mindset.
okay,
Yeah. See, and I think that and so for a couple of reasons. One, when I talk to people, Miss Danielle, they always be like, no love. I ain't trying to love nobody, and it makes me cringe on the inside when I hear people say that because It's like, well, if love is God, what? And if love is the foundation, the definition you gave, or any other definition that we think about, why is it the last thing that we attribute into a relationship? Well, I ain't gonna love you until, you do this, that, or I done got my heart broken so many times. But love didn't break your heart.
No.
Deception did.
Yes.
Love didn't break your heart. A situation did. And I think that we can misinterpret this thing of love, right? And think about it in so many other ways than what it is, right? And so for me, and then love is God, right? And God is love. And for me, then love is a mindset. And in that mindset, now, right, I'm able to be more accepting, be more receptive, be more gentle with myself, right? Because my mindset remember, we go back to our conversation, the mindset is the lens, right? It's a paradigm that you see life through. So I'm looking for reasons to love. I'm looking for reasons to see the good in this situation, not discounting the bad, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to stay in the mindset of love. And if I stay in the mindset of loving myself, right, then no harm is going to, in a sense, happen because I'm going to love myself first. So when you become deceptive, right, now because I have love, then it's like, yeah, I mean, I love you, but I love me more, right? And so now it becomes a decision of how I'm going to navigate this situation and who I'm going to choose, right? And I've
Yeah.
gotten a lot of flack for this mindset on love thing because, although it allows me to be gentle and compassionate, it also, love is discipline. It also allows me to be disciplined in my relationships and in what I do. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Because I think when you establish whether whatever your position is, once you establish a firm position on it, then yeah, people have to, and then you communicate. People have to get on board because that's what I've done it before. Where it's like my favorite line is, "But I love you," and I okay, and what
Mm-hmm.
does that mean? Or or this situation is so much more than just that phrase because it's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you said. That's why I call it the foundation. Like, okay, that's what's got us in the door, but and it might help keep it going, but it's so much more than that.
Mm-hmm. We
But
need so much more than that. But so do you think that love is the thing that gives us access to that, to those other things?
I think it makes you receptive to
Mm-hmm.
those other things. It's what
Mm-hmm.
kind of opens your eyes
Mm-hmm.
to it,
Mm-hmm.
the
And
ability to love. Yes.
yeah, the ability to love. So why do you think it's the last thing we do? Or why do you think that we preserve our love? I mean, in your honest opinion, because I know you're gonna give it.
Well, no. So actually, I'm the opposite,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I call it the foundation because I go in hard, fast, and so
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like I gotta get that out the way because it's like I don't know. So I'm actually the opposite. I'm not one of those people where it's like, oh, you got to do all this stuff for my love. Like, no, you're gonna get my love, but as you do stuff, you will lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
So
will
you
give
like
you
the
100.
teacher. So
I
you
will
like
give
the.
you 100%. It's like a tip. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna start right here. Either you're gonna get more, you're gonna get less.
Yeah. So it's actually like I don't know if you ever took a class and the teacher say you already started off with 100%. Now, if you keep up with the coursework, right, you can keep your 100%. But if you choose not to, then now first day of class 100%, right, and then how you behave in class, then it's gonna kind of take it away. I like that, and I honestly feel like if more of us had that approach, I think we can hold each other accountable. Two more things. Dale said that's tough. So what's tough, Dale? Hey,
I
Dale.
Because I think that popped up when he asked, "What is love?"
Mm-hmm. So is it tough to define love, or is what we're saying tough? So this conversation is the reason I asked what is love because I think it's the basis for what is love of self. And if we're not practicing love and we don't have an understanding of what love truly is, how we treat others or how we see the world is how we see ourselves. And if we're restricting other people from love, then we're a part of the other people that we're restricted from love. It's not like you can, hold your love back. It's a fragrance, right? It's not this compartmentalized thing. Either you got access to love or you don't got access to love,
Mm-hmm.
right?
You're gonna catch all this love aroma.
Right. And so, oh, he said it's tough to define love. It is tough to define love. And I think when we start thinking about experiences that we again deem love experiences, it convolutes that definition
It does.
more. And I think if we start to compartmentalize, like, was it the love that hurt me, or was it the person's deception that hurt me, or was it, you know, the environment that hurt me, right? Or was it their lack of understanding that hurt me, right? If was it their inability to understand and comprehend? And because I loved you, now I blanketed that with, I don't want to love again because that's just hard, you know. Now I do think that love make you more susceptible to hurt and vulnerability because it is a vulnerable space, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it makes it real vulnerable. But we have to access it so that we can learn how to love ourselves, right? And so we had this definition last week, but what is what is love of self?
It's it's doing what you're trying to project but to yourself. Because I
Mm-hmm.
like how you said how some people, they go through a bad situation and they're like, I don't want to do that again. I always, me and my continuous improvement brain was like, okay, what went wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
What did I do wrong with that? What did I
Mm-hmm.
miss? Let's pivot and try again,
Yeah.
because it's, you can't escape it. And in doing that's when I learned more about myself, and each it peeled back a layer of myself every single time, and the acceptance of myself. And okay, I don't like this. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm with somebody that's doing this, I'm not respecting myself, I'm not loving myself. And I think it slowly for me revealed itself. And if you allow yourself to not even enter in a space, you're not allowing yourself to grow.
And this is true. We definitely don't allow ourselves to grow. So our definition, and we should play this last week. Self love relates to how you treat yourself, right? Is it like the love you have for a partner or a friend directly inwards, right? And I think that, and you hear me call it the annihilator, like when we do things and we start to listen to how we talk to ourselves, are you friendly with yourself? Are you loving to yourself? Or are you like the annihilator? Are you your biggest judge, your worstest, I don't even know if worstest is a friend, but worstest friend,
It's because
doctor,
worse didn't sound as
doctor,
emphatic enough as
right?
worstest.
Are you your worstest friend in your head?
Oh Lord, what is that?
Are you your worstest friend? That's on YouTube. Um, or are you um, truly, yeah, are you truly a friend to yourself and compassionate with yourself, right? And again, this is one of those reasons why we started the Stop It Now program, because I feel like this is one of the narratives that we need to talk about and we need to truly like get a hold on. Okay. So we talked about what self love is not, right? So self love is not self esteem, right? It's not, because we don't know, a lot of people have high self esteem, right? They know they valuable, right? They know, I mean, this is why they want a better life for themselves. This is why they go get the car and the house, right? People have self confidence. That's why they can perform at their jobs and be competent in their work and is educated, right? But those people who tend to be high performers and have those type of mentalities tend to be the ones, Miss Danielle, who tend to lack self-love. What you think
Because
about that?
they were taught just to go. Because I feel the those other components are easier to teach, and maybe they have better, well-defined parameter ranges. So it's like, okay, if I'm confident, I do this, and this. But to say I have a lot of self-love, it's too cookie. It's too, you have to package it specifically for each individual. So maybe that's why it's so hard to teach.
Hmm. I think it's hard to teach because I agree with you. I think it's hard to teach, and family helped me with this one too. When you grow up in an environment, that's your first image of yourself. You know what I mean? And if that environment wasn't conducive to good job, you're special, I'm glad that I had you, you have something to offer. If that environment didn't invite you in a gentle way, right? That's 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 your first reflection of who you are, right? And so for so long, we try to, and we started off this conversation like you try to do things to get those individuals to start to like you, to
Yeah.
overcome. I'm gonna prove to them. I was the biggest prover ever. Like, I'm gonna prove to you I'm college material. I remember somebody told me, you ain't even college material. I'm proving to you I'm college material. I went all the way up to a doctor. Okay, now college material that, right? So I think that my first image of myself was not a person I even wanted to love. You know what I mean? Because it was like, oh, you think you know it all. You think you have it all. You think you have all of this stuff. And it's like, I mean, you think that you're all this and all that, or you talk too much. And it's like, well, who want to be a friend or a person like that? Maybe I need to stop talking so much. And maybe I need to taper down my intellectual ability and lower my expectations because that woman, no one loves her. So it's hard for me to.
But how do you know no one loves her? Is cultures and society. Because there are people out
Family.
there that yes, and family. Because to me, there are people that don't mind dealing with somebody that runs their mouth because they they
Yeah,
don't
so
want to.
evil spelled backwards.
Evil.
Hmm. Um, yeah, and so I think that these projections that we give of ourselves are false, right? And so when we go to grow up and mature, it's like now the very person or that very identity, Miss Danielle, that we have been shunned from or we built a wall for, right? And we've tried to change, alter, adjust, you know, create some new space. I think that then what happens is now it's like, now will you love me? Now will you love me? Right?
Yeah.
If I change my body, will you love me?
Oh.
If I do if I get a better degree, would you love me? And so now we're trying to figure out if as a young person I wasn't good enough and I wasn't loved, right? Let me change this. Let me change my financial status. Let me change my zip code. Let me change my area code, right? Let me change all these things. And now we're like, now will you love this person? And when you can love and accept her or him, then I can, you know. So free
And,
me.
and by that time, you've lost half of yourself. So now you got to dig even deeper just to find whoever you are.
And just think about relationships. Just think about that was the play that you used to get in your relationship, or that was the play you used to get in your job. And now you in that situation or in that commitment, and then you realize this ain't me. I don't want to do this.
look, that what came up in my spirit, because I know the last one I talked about my second son's father, but this one is very much so the situation I went through with my first son's father,
Mhm,
because I'm very tomboyish. I've been like that. I love it. It's me.
mhm,
Um, I don't mind dressing up every now and then, but it's just not me. And when I slowly started to realize, you want somebody that I can't be.
mhm,
And it was like I said, it was that layer where I started to realize I am not this person.
mhm,
I don't desire to be this person. I can
mhm,
play the role. I'm not comfortable in the role, and I
mhm,
don't like being uncomfortable. So
mhm,
therefore, this is not, this is not going to work.
mhm.
in the long run. And that's those are serious conversations you have to have with yourself, because this
Mhm.
was something that I had to realize, because you could take it as shots like, oh, he doesn't love me for me. It's like, no, everybody has a preference.
Right.
Everybody
Right.
has a thing, and I'm sure I'm somebody's thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thank you, Devon, for the compliment. I do want to. It is a deep conversation, and it's a very vulnerable conversation. And I had wrote a note to myself, and I'm gonna share with you guys. This was my note to myself last last show, and I wanted to talk about it because I truly believed I love myself by accomplishing things. I truly believe that at that time, that was me showing that I love myself by going and attaining nice things, by going to get more degrees, by going to do this, you know, I don't know, like in my mind, that equated to Sheila, you love yourself. And this is why, you're doing that. And what I realized, and I heard this person say it in a book, are you doing it out of fear, or are you doing it out of abundance or love or giving, right? And the question that when they ask this question, are your actions motivated by fear, or are your actions motivated by giving, right? And I'm like, okay, hit me with it, because I think my actions is motivated by giving. And it was like, so when you did that, did you do it because you wanted the applause? Did you want it to prove something to somebody? Did you want to, in some way, was that action to dispute a disbelief or something like that? Then that came out of fear. Your true intention was like it was to take, right? But if you really giving and you really want to do this thing and it has nothing to do with you, like it's just truly, I see your need, I can feel your need, whether you say thank you, whether you say, I appreciate that, like this is what I wanted to do and I'm comfortable with that, then that's the giving part. And I
Yeah,
feel like when I go back to this note to self, I truly believe that I was loving myself, that giving is the love, right? For me, I wasn't accomplishing things because I love myself. I was actually accomplishing things to prove people wrong, to prove to myself, Sheila, you can do this. And I feel like that is the first stage. And I don't think it's not anything wrong with that. I
yeah.
think,
And it's a phase that you have to go through, I think, because we
yes.
talked about those 4 stages where you have to be in it, but then you have to elevate out of it. And I don't want to cut you off, because the first thing that jumped for me was, I truly believe I love myself by bending over backwards for people and helping
Mm,
people, because I wanted them to say, I wanted that thank you. Oh, you helped me. And you're not supposed to want that. You know what
mm-mm.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like I would do all this stuff, and it was like, no, this isn't this. No, this
Yeah.
isn't it.
And that's like going through, right? So that's the experience. So I guess this is for the family. Like when you are at that stage and you giving, 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 and you're not getting back, right? Or what you're getting back is not matching, and you start to feel like begrudging, right? Like I'm doing
Yeah,
all this for everybody, nobody's thinking about me, and I'm now it's time to shift that paradigm, right? Because the more you give, that way of doing that is not working, right?
no,
So now this thing that you're giving other people, this um, people pleasing, and being kind and courteous, and loving on them with your words and holding your tongue back, like I ain't gonna say that because I don't want them to think, right?
yeah,
Now we got to do a 160 with that and use that now towards yourself. Now you done got a lot of practice in,
hmm,
right? So when you come to say something to yourself, it's like, you know what? I ain't even gonna say that to myself because I don't want myself to feel a certain way. Does that make sense? Right?
yes.
Yeah.
People love giving other people advice,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't listen to our own advice.
Yeah, yeah. Or you gotta call yourself stupid or dumb. Yeah, I mean, gonna call myself that because
Do
I
people
don't
really
even.
do that?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
I hear it, and I don't want to, but it's just I keep hearing that, and it's like, do people really? That, I mean, that's very sad to me. It's just I've never been that kind of person to be like mine is more just like, okay, what did I do wrong? It's
Mm-hmm.
not, oh, you stupid. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I
I
hate it when
don't
they do
think
it to kids.
right, and I don't think it's crazy, and I don't think. I mean, I can see why you say it's crazy, but I don't think it's
Yeah.
crazy, and I don't think it's conscious. Right? I
Yes.
hear a lot of women's like, "Ah, so stupid! Like I'm so stupid for doing that." Right? And they just a lot of times it's just and I'm like, "Are you stupid?" Well, no, of course I know that, but right, but do you know you saying that about
Yes.
yourself, right? So I
It's
think
like
a
a
lot of it
conditioned
is
response that they're not
yeah,
aware of.
it's just like a response. Now, some people really do
Believe.
feel and believe like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm stupid. I don't know enough. And some people have, and higher performers can have what's called imposter syndrome, where they're actually in a position that they want, or they're doing what they want, or they're in their relationship, but they feel like they don't deserve it.
Yes.
Like, I, I just don't deserve this. Like, is this the life? I feel like they're gonna find out I'm a fraud. I don't know what they think I know. I can't show up at the rate that I think they want me to show up. And at any given minute, they're gonna find me out.
Yeah.
Right. And now that narrative starts to now they start to think about all the reasons why they could be exposed.
Now I'm definitely guilty of that. So that's my version.
Yeah. And so this is another way of how we don't love on ourselves because they chose you for the job, right?
Yeah.
You are credentialed. Obviously, you're doing the right thing. So why do you feel undeserving of either this relationship or either this position or even with money?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So the podcast today is love of self or loving yourself. And we talked about last week the strategies to love yourself. If you want to go back to our not last week but week before last, go subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch that. Um, we talked about a little bit about implementation and what that looks like, right? How do we implement the self love? And what we talked about in implementation was setting boundaries, offering forgiveness to yourself, taking care of your physical and mental health, accepting yourself, recognizing, holding yourself responsible, right? We talked about this, and now we want to talk about implementation, right?
No, right. Yes, because self love means that you're allowed to feel your feelings, but can eventually come to forgive yourself because you hold yourself in regard despite mistakes and imperfections. Nobody's perfect.
Yes. And so, there's four stages. So we talk about discovery. What is self-love? What is love, right? I say love is a mindset. That helps me to keep my love at the forefront of everything, to keep how I see myself and how I see others, to keep the aroma of love, in the room. I mean, it has even shifted how I parent because I know that my ears are hearing the content that come out. And so
Yes.
I'm not quick to anger, quick to be moved like that. It's helped my relationships. It's totally transformed my relationships. Um, so in me saying that that's a mindset, you said that it's more of a foundation, right? That we build on, right? And
Hmm.
so if you don't have love as a foundation, then it's hard to build all of those other things because it should be built on love. Dale said it was a difficult. Well, Dale said that love is sex, money, drugs, material things, and it's evil.
But Danny said it's mental.
Like you said, it's mental. But listen, and again, you guys come in with what your definition is, but we wanted to go through how do we define love. We talked about the strategies. Now, in these four stages, it's discovery, strategy, implementation, and execution. And I think when we start to implement these acts, it's not easy.
No.
So we can have a strategy. Oh, I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm going to accept myself. I'm gonna recognize this stuff, right? And then I'm doing this, Miss Danielle, for 4 days. I'm doo doo doo. I'm gonna be loving, you
Hmm.
know. I got a love mindset.
When you don't realize you're actually lying to yourself. Like,
And then day 5, huh? Somebody come in. I'm being forgiving of myself. Oops, I just on my fit. Oh, it's okay, Sheila. Keep going. And then day 5, it's like, you mean to tell that no TikTok? You did what? With who? It's like that type of situation. And remember, implementation is testing, right? So you have your strategy, your blueprint, your foundation, your mindset. Now you got to change this behavior because remember, you didn't even trust loving at first. Know nothing about loving yourself. For me, I thought loving myself was goal markers.
yeah,
You may feel like loving yourself is something else, right? So now we're implementing what we think are our new definition. And this is why this part is so important. Self-love means you're allowed to feel your feelings, but can eventually come to forgive yourself because you hold yourself in regard despite mistakes and imperfections. Because know that when you start to love yourself and you put this aura around you and clean yourself up really good. And now somebody do you wrong and you make the mistake and let them back in your life. This is when you then establish self love, right?
yeah.
And forgive yourself for making that mistake. It is
Hmm.
in those times where now self love is truly being actualized. It's in the mistake,
Yes.
it's in the mishap, it's in the imperfection, right? That now you can say, oh, space for self love. Okay, you good.
You
You
good.
know, you made a
Whoopsies.
mistake. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna get up tomorrow. It's to me, it's like riding a bike, learn how to ride a bike. My old business partner, he used to have this saying, and I think it was at the beginning of my book, The Dream That Broke Me Now, when he talked about his mom teaching him how to ride the bike. And, he kept falling, he kept falling, he kept falling. And then he looked back and saw he was riding it by himself. And this practice of self-love is like that. When you
Yeah.
first get on this bike, you gonna fall, you gonna want somebody to hold you. Like, wait,
Because ain't no training wheels on this bike.
wait a minute, and
It's a mountain
then,
bike.
yeah, and then when you go to actually do it, you're going to fall,
Yes. It's going to
and
hurt.
it's going to hurt, right? You're going to say, I'm not going to do that thing, or I'm not going to say that to myself, and then you end up falling and tripping and say that in something worse, and
And
then you catch
then,
yourself, and you like, oh shoot, awareness. I
because
realize I just talked to myself that, you know what? No, you're not that thing. And you know what? I'm sorry for even calling you that.
that's what I
Shoot.
was just about to say. The more you push yourself, you're going to fail in different ways.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to get yourself right back up and
Yeah.
be like, oh, okay, I didn't see that one. I had passed the other couple obstacles, but this one's new. All
This a
right.
new one. And then here's the thing. And now the journey of self-love becomes a lifelong journey because then you become aware over and over and over again of how many mistakes you made. And then you become aware of how bad or how much resistance you had to the person that you actually are. How much you resist this person that's showing up every day when you start to hear the language that you use about the behaviors you display, like the I'm stupid or I'm dumb or
Yeah.
I don't just feel good enough or am I qualified for that? And then when you start to become aware of that language and you can insert self love here, no, that's not true. You
Yep.
are special. You are enough. And you may say that to yourself and you may get in a thing where you are down this road 3 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on the third day, you like, you know what, Sheila, now you done been in this bed for 3 days crying on yourself. You know what? It's gonna be all right,
It's going to
you
be all right.
know? And then you may next week, now it's 2 days. Let's see, now it's less, right?
Now
And
it's
then it's one day. And then now it's a half a day. And so we're just looking for incremental changes. We're not looking for you to wake up tomorrow with the crown on your head saying, I love me, and that's what it is. And I think that's where we falter, Miss Danielle.
Yeah.
We make these decisions and then we act like I was talking to one of my clients today and I said, it's like developing, it's like pictures, back in the day when you used to take a picture and then you had to actually develop it. So the picture is there, boom.
Yeah.
But then there's a developing stage for that picture to actually now come to like
Fruition.
come
Yes.
up onto
Focus.
the
Yes.
yeah into focus. So you just got, this is the image.
Yes.
Self-love, we're giving you the image of what that looks like, but then there's going to be processes that you're going to have to go through to fully develop that picture. Does that make sense?
No, I love that. That's a great analogy because anybody that actually knows how involved that process is, like you have to do a series of, there's steps and processes. And if one messes up, you're going to have to go back and start the
Yeah,
process all
start the
over again. But
process
guess
off.
what? You learn what not to do.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what goes or anything. You take the picture. Now,
Take the
what
pic.
does self love look to you? Take it. Now, let's develop that, and then give ourselves compassion, give ourselves a little grace, give ourselves a little freedom to fall off the bike, to scar your, to even cry. I scarred my knee. Now look, I got this scar right now on my leg because you remember back in the day, you had metal bikes, like the
Oh,
metal
yeah.
pedals that had the little bite marks on them.
They
And
hurt.
that mug must have flung around. I must have hit the back of my leg. It started bleeding. Bleeding. I didn't want to get back on that bike. But my desire to want to ride like my brothers was riding was way bigger than that bleed that was on my legs. And so as a consequence, I ended up getting back on a bike. So this desire to love yourself has to be bigger than the pain that you feel as a consequence of developing the behavior.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Look, I got to give my bike story because that's what I've been thinking of this whole time. I'll be quick.
Okay.
Mine was when I first learned, I knew how to navigate straight. Once I got that down, I was like, okay, cool. I can ride the bike without falling straight. And the first time I tried to turn the corner in Cleveland, I was going on to Martin Luther King. And man, I realized, oh, I don't know how to turn corners. And I fell into a bush. And that was like, that's why I said, okay, this is a new obstacle that I have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to manage because I hadn't practiced turning.
Yeah, you hit
But
that. You hit that thing with real quick, and it
yeah, yeah, you get the
just
panic. Oh,
yes. Um. So they'll ask a good
I
question. How
love that
can we
question,
bridge the
actually.
gap
Yeah.
with us and the kids of tomorrow? We self love, like you said, but kids today only feel love
Yes.
by likes,
By
etc.
views and
Yeah, and
followers.
yeah, and it goes back to mental. I know it's about me first. Remember, I cried at school because I did. I do remember that. This is my friend from elementary. I don't remember you crying though. Um, So here's the thing. So it's not just, and I think that's why this conversation is for this audience. I don't think it's just kids who feel loved by likes,
Hmm.
right? I think even as adults, we start to feel that too. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? Like, how many likes is my picture going to get? Does that mean people like me? And I think that this is a conversation with my kids that I have
I
that,
was just about to say, what do you tell your kids?
well, I tell them love is in your home, right? And these are people who are observing, like, and I give good examples too, because like we can be watching a video or we can like something, and either we are going to like it or we're not going to like it, right? Does
Hmm.
that mean that video is good or bad? No, it don't. I,
Oh no.
and then I also give descriptions of, have you ever took a picture of you on a good day or just posted a picture that you took, 2 weeks ago and you posted today, but you're not really feeling that way today? Yes, I have. So we give examples of how people can paint stories on social media to make you think that their life is so much better than what it is. but everybody goes through emotions. Everybody is going through this hurt, and you can't get that validation off this screen and off this phone. That's for you to come to me as your mom, go to your dad, your granddad, my dad. We have two granddads,
Yeah.
my brothers or something like that. And so we have family meetings, right? But I think it's a very hard bridge to gap because that's what's promoted, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important. And Dale, I don't know if you're on here when we gave that statistic. 50% is genetics. 50% of our emotions is genetics. So if you grew up in a home, I, the home I grew up in, Danielle, we had two emotions: anger and doubt.
Ooh.
Right? The disbelief. I don't believe that's gonna happen. I believe it when I see it.
Ooh.
And anger, right? In some way frustrated because it didn't happen, got a whooping because, you left your shoes or something like that. And those were really the two emotions that were expressed. Now, did we say I love you? Do we say, things like that? Yeah, but did we actually see that? No. So when I grew up, these were the only two emotions I was exposed to: doubt and anger.
Mm.
My grandfather was a very aggressive and angry man. Now, given this thing, 50% of my emotions or 50% of my emotional person came from that. Guess what I grew up with? Doubt.
Yeah.
I had a lot of doubt for justifiable reasons. And I do believe I had a lot of surface anger. I'm mad at you. Why did you do that? I think I even bust out a window or something like that before.
Ooh.
Yeah. Think I was hitting
Spicy.
it like you, and they was driving away, and then when I got done, my hand was hurting. I was like, how do people do this? But
Yeah.
yeah, I had my ratchet moment.
Look,
Um,
it's
but
so
then,
funny because it's like I'm like the complete. I'm the opposite. I'm the non-violent. I'm, yeah, passive aggressive kind of. That I think that's probably like the best way to describe mine was like passive aggression.
hmm
But I try to recognize that when I'm having conversations with my son because it's like I see him in me, and it's like I want him to understand his value and his worth, and what does it mean when people are messing with him, or what does it mean when somebody's popular, or what is, just breaking down a lot of these narratives so he can understand the actuality. Like one of the things I told him, I see this is your friend from elementary school, but I told him, I said, baby, you're never going to see 70% of these people.
hmm
Why would you care, if they think you're nerdy or if they don't like your shoes? Like these people will not impact your livelihood and your life and everything moving forward. And it's like, I understand that you think this is your world right now,
hmm
but trust me, like the majority of these people will not impact your greatness.
hmm
Like,
And I think that's powerful. And I want to add to it, and then I want to add to it. But before I add to it, I do want to say, Dale, I do remember when you cried when I fell. So I got DDT'd when I was in school, and I went into a concussion. Like the dude DDT me, and everybody was crying. So I do remember that. So to add to that, to is that the situation? Fact. Okay. So, I was
what
a
kind of
tomboy.
school did y'all go
Right.
to?
I was a tomboy, just a tomboy playing around in the gym. And
I was
Dion,
a massive
yeah,
tomboy.
Dion came and just boomed me on my head, and the ambulance had to come and reel me up out of there. Okay, so I think that the advice that you gave your son was good. Now, to shape that narrative, I think that it's important when we start talking about self love. Well, how do you feel
Mhm.
about you know what I mean? And I think that sometimes we will teach even people to dismiss comments like, why do you care about what they think? And then that becomes the conversation. Yeah, that becomes the conversation around, like, why do you even care what people think? The real conversation is, so but how do you feel about these
Yes.
shoes you got on? Or how do you feel about this coat? Do you like this coat? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I like this coat. Okay. So it does now, you see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what people say about this coat because you actually like this coat, right? And you like this coat before John had an opinion about the coat. And guess what? If you go there and you tell John back, but I like my coat, then John probably has never heard that before. And then John may even come back and say, well, I don't like it. And then, okay, we're going to agree to disagree. But this is a part of the self love practice, like us being able to accept the decisions that we make, right? And
Yeah.
learning how to say, oh, well, Jody didn't like it, so I shouldn't like it. And then our first dismiss to that is, well, who cares what people think? Well, guess what? We really
We
naturally by
do.
nature care what people think. And the whole point is, okay, you can care what people think, but let's involve what you think into this equation. So what is it that you think about this situation? And now he'll start to think, well, I liked it, or I
So
didn't like it, or you know what I mean?
that makes me feel a little bit better about one of the things I tell him is the only people, like when we're talking about opinion things, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like when you go to school you have the people that are teaching you facts, the teachers, and then you have the individuals that are bringing their opinions. And I tell them the only people's opinions that matter are the people that feed you, shelter you, and buy you Legos, because my son loves Legos. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and I tell him, like, eventually one day that will be you. You're going to get to the point where you're feeding and sheltering and buying your own Legos. So
Mm-hmm.
this is going to breed in, because I think that it, like you said, we want we do depend on other people's opinions, but I want him to know your family, because I know he has a good family unit and gets good
Yeah.
feedback from
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yeah,
But
and at an age, I think you are his voice. And if our audience or family has young people, you are your kids' opinion, right?
yes,
As you talk. But I just think the whole, you know, forget what people think. It's kind of like shutting off a piece of who we are, and so many of us have been trained, and that's like counterproductive to connection. You
yes,
know, because we're breeded to connect. And I feel like so many of us are shut off, which is why we don't really have access to love and we're not practicing love effectively and efficiently, which is totally affecting us, right? And totally affecting how we love ourselves and how we communicate with ourselves, right? Does that make sense?
it does.
Okay. And
Great
then the
segue.
other implementation, having self love doesn't mean you feel happy with yourself 100% of the time, and or never feel frustrated or disappointed with your actions and behaviors. And again, we talked about this whole, hey, having self love is accepting
Yes.
this as a part of the process, right? So there's going to be times that I'm there's going to
Cause
be times where I'm frustrated and disappointed. And then there's going to be times where I'm happy and joyful. And I'm going to love myself in that whole diaspora of emotions, right? Because if
I
I
like
don't, then it's going to be very hard for me to attract people to love me in those times.
I like the bike analogy, because to me that looks like you get back up quicker, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not saying you're never, once you learn how to ride a bike, you're never going to fall off a bike again. That's not what it's saying. But
Mm-hmm.
as you learn more, you're going to be able to bounce back. Because I
Mm-hmm.
remember my son, the first time he fell off, he was like, I don't want to ride it again. Okay. But
Yeah.
then as they progress, and then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna get back up, or the duration shortens. So I think that
Yeah.
that's what that sounds like to me. Because
Yeah.
like you said, you're gonna get frustrated, you're gonna get
Yeah.
disappointed, you're not gonna be happy all the time. That's not how life works.
That's not how life works. Or relationships. And here's the other part. So I was going to say, you know how you started riding your bike and then you take your hands off and now you just ride with no hands and then that bike end up doing some crazy stuff and throw you off. Yeah, that's that advanced level. Um, but and here's what's important about this. Remember that love is a relationship. So we have love is the I would say like the jelly in between two slices of bread. It's the thing that brings you and you together. or it's
Mm.
the thing that brings you and another person together, right? So it's the gel in the middle, right? And if we look at love as the conduit that brings us together, then I think we can have I'm building a relationship with love first. And the
Hmm.
more I have this relationship with love, then the easier it is for me to now pull somebody to stick to that other side, you know. But if I don't have that as a conduit, and if I don't have that, now we just two dry pieces of bread, just
I
just a
don't know
dry
why
sandwich,
that's so funny to me.
just a dry sandwich, just
We
we
just
just
too dry. We just slide
right,
against each other.
rough. It's just rough,
Right, it's just rough.
Yeah, yeah. So remember the implementations, when you go back and listen to our first video on love of self, we talked about the strategies like, again, boundaries, offering yourself forgiveness, taking care of your physical and mental health, accepting yourself, recognizing and appreciating your good qualities, and holding yourself to um, realistic expectations. And we go into those a little deeper. But so that's strategy. That's the strategy. That's how we're gonna love ourselves if we do these 6 things. Now, when I actually go to do those things, oh, I'm learning a new skill now.
Yep.
I have to develop that, right? And this is why when we start to implement this, you know, we have to start feeling and forgiving ourselves for the mistakes we make, right?
Hmm.
And if you in this process of doing that, there's some things that you can do. Practice mindfulness. The reason why we want to practice mindfulness is because we want to be aware of the voice that's in our head. And this is a good way to do that. As we start to think about and sit with ourselves for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes a day. I use Headspace and just quiet. Then we can see how busy our mind is in a very non-judgmental way, right? Like, why are you sitting here? You could be up doing something. And that voice, the tone of that voice,
Yes.
one, you're gonna be like, man, I'm kind of bossy. You know what I mean? Or
I'm
you know,
rude.
I'm rude, right? So one, mindfulness is going to give you the awareness of the voice in your head, but then it's also going to, and I know probably a lot of our family has this, but you ever looked at your computer and it's like 20 tabs open and stuff you're going to get back to?
Hey man, stop judging me.
So it's like boom, 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 boom. You got all these tabs open and you don't want to,
Maybe.
yeah, and you don't want to close that tab because you're like, I'm gonna get back to that. And so every time you don't even
Thank
touch your
God for
computer off.
restore pages.
Right. So to me, meditation is a way of closing those things. Or have you ever looked in your phone and went to that part where it shows how many tabs you have open? And like for me, it'll say like 99 tabs. And I'm
Okay,
wondering,
okay, I feel better now. Thank you.
yeah, 99 tabs open. And then I'm like, okay, close all tabs. I really don't care what I've had open, but I'm gonna close this down. Or in my Google, or it's different ones that have it, but
Oh
I
yeah.
go in and I'll shut everything down, right? That's kind of what meditation does, or mindfulness does. It just allows you to get rid of the back noise, right? All the stuff that's running that don't have your attention right now, but it's draining you because
Yes.
it's cycling in the back. So you wondering like, man, why am I so tired? Or why don't I have the energy? Well, you got all these tabs up. Now if you look at your phone, that may be a
It's draining.
representation of your life. And if you
This
look at
is
your
using too
computer,
much energy. Would you like to force stop it?
yes, yes. So one, it's gonna make you aware of your voice, and then two, it's gonna allow you to start to shedding off these tabs, right? And I call it popping them. Like you see a thought come up, don't judge it, just pop it, pop it, pop it. Okay. And people don't like meditation because of that. Because when they sit down, it's like, oh, I need to do the laundry. Oh, well, you forgot to do this, and then it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be breathing, and then you go back to breathe, and then it's like, oh, what did such and such say? You go to thinking about all type of stuff, and your mind just starts to float away. And the whole ideal is for you to pop that thought and then focus back on the breath. Now, here too is where you can find out how you talk to yourself, because it's like, I can never get things right, right? Because now it's how you're responding to these voices that's coming out. And, you know, so become aware of your voice and start closing the tabs. The second thing we need to do is focus on the positivity,
Yes.
right? Um, again, we said earlier that you definitely want to be forgiven, or like you're not going to be happy all the time. But this is really more perspective, looking at the glass half full than the glass half empty,
It's
right? And
perspective.
the difference between pessimism and optimism, right? And remember, how we see the world is how we see ourselves. And if you're seeing situations in the world in a very pessimistic way, then you're probably beating yourself up. And it's so funny because when I date guys and they say stuff about people, I'm like, man, I wonder what your conversations be like in your mind, right? Because if you feel like the world is like this, like, man, that finger pointing back at you may just be horrible. You know what I mean? Like, Lord. Right. So focusing on the positive is not trying to walk around every day like SpongeBob. But it's more or in not being like Squidward, right? But it's more finding a reason to be grateful. I had a person today that was in a domestic violence relationship, and she left, and it was very difficult for her. But one of the things she was like is, I'm glad I got it over though, right? Like, even though it was horrible and all of that, and instead of focusing on the guilt of staying so long,
Yeah.
she was like, you know what? I'm glad that I left. I feel like it was best for my family. Now, she had the guilt of breaking the family up. She had all of that stuff,
Oh yeah.
but she
And
focused on
that's
the
the thing. It
positive.
never goes away, but when you have that positive perspective, it quiets that. It can pop that tab close
Yeah,
quicker,
quicker.
and it won't stay open, and the volume won't be blaring.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Three, exercise.
amen.
I think this is enough said. I'm not the most exercising queen. Here's a funny thing. I just seen my trainer who fired me. I just found out he really did fire me. Um, so he fired me. And then I seen him and I was like, so you just not gonna take me back as a client? He was like, no, because you ain't serious. I was like, I'm serious about my stuff. Now let's talk about this. I think he just wanted me to perform at a level that I was like, look, I'm just trying to build my endurance. And he wanted me to be like, now he was a good trainer.
Serena
Like, if
Williams
y'all,
out here,
yeah,
like, knocking
like,
them
I don't
back.
want to do that. Right. So now just exercise. I ordered an exercise bike. But here's what exercising does. It releases what we call serotonin into the body. Serotonin actually uh, helps to the dopamine in the body. It helps the chemicals in the body to just to help you feel good, right? About life. And a lot of times, it's instead of actually physically, dealing with an issue, you can take it out on the treadmill or in a nice brisk walk or with some
Man,
weights.
I got to
Hmm.
tag in. Exercise means something different to everybody. Look, I lost 50 pounds by increasing the amount of housework and yard work. I wasn't on no treadmill. I wasn't sticking to no specific program. Like, it really is just getting up and moving.
Yeah.
And it's just that power of movement and doing something, and then doing something to the effect where I think a lot of it, to get that aggression out, whether it's running or stepping or jumping or punching something. I like
Hmm.
ripping out branches from trees and things of that nature.
Right.
But
Right.
get that aggression out. Everybody got it.
He's trying to push it. Yeah. And then speak with a coach, right? Or a therapist. Now, again, the first three, practice mindfulness, focus on positivity, and exercise is all is good, But again, if you're learning a new skill, if you're learning how to do something,
And need
it
help
just
navigating.
you need help navigating it. Like, speak with the coach or therapist. Today I was on a radio show and we talked about SAD, which is seasonal affective depression, right? And because
Right.
there is some, we're in the season one around the holidays, um, and season of the and sad doesn't just happen. I found out it don't just happen in winter months. Some people can get sad, depending on the weather, depending on the pollen in the air. What it's different environmental factors that can affect that. So I just encourage everybody to get a coach, everybody to get somebody to talk to an objective view, you know, and yeah, and then you can always speak to inbox me at I am Shaping Solutions or inbox Miss Danielle, on the coaching side. But you just need somebody to talk to, about self love and self care. And I'm gonna put that on the bottom. And if you just want to get your feet wet, you can always join the movement, the Stop It Now movement. We do those workshops every week. So that's www.stopitnowsolutions.com. So you can go there and register. We do those on Mondays and Thursdays. So, and we
Nice.
have a discount this holiday season because self love is the best love, right?
Yeah.
And we got to start loving on ourselves, and we got to start, Miss Danielle, being a change that we want to see in the world, and it
And
and
I
it
think
all starts with you.
yeah, and I think it goes back to his comment because you have to start with yourself and then you can feed into the next generation. Then you can feed into other people, but it's I love the airplane analogy. You got to put your mask on before you help somebody else.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to get yourself right before you can potentially help
yeah.
somebody else, or else you're
Yeah.
not going to end
But
up
but
helping
Miss
anybody.
Danielle, I'm seeing this person. So you want me to put this mask on me, and I'm seeing my baby, or I'm seeing my grandma can't breathe, and she can't even get to the oxygen. So you want me to put the oxygen on me, and I'm seeing this person who's struggling. Like I could hold my breath until I get to,
You think
this
you
person.
can hold your breath.
Hmm. And, I,
You think
and
you can hold your breath.
right. And I
But how
think
about
that
you make sure you can breathe?
Yeah, and I think that we've been trained to put ourselves on a back burner, or to feel like, well, when I help you, then you gonna help me, or there's more reward in helping you, or it's to prove to you something, right?
Yeah.
So if I help you, then I'm showing you how much I love you, right, and how much I care for you, and truly, no, you're not
You're
showing
not.
that person how much you love them and
Because
how much you care. Because if you straining yourself, then you actually showing that person the opposite. Now, they conscious person may not understand that, but everything in their intelligence and feels like, I don't know, like she seemed a little needy or clingy, or you
that's the
know,
thing. The minute it's not reciprocated,
yeah,
it's yeah. So
it's a
that's
problem.
when you know it's not. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So again, thank you guys for the comments, for the likes, and for the shares. Good seeing you, Dale. Thank you for staying with us. You guys, we asked some questions in here. I would love for you guys to continue the dialogue. We always come back, and I'm always coming in and checking to see what you have to say. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think that next year we're going to actually move to YouTube. So we'll just be having clips over here on Facebook, and then we're going to actually, be going live on that Facebook. Um, Join our 30-day Manifest Like You Want challenge at elevateherchallenge.com. This is 30 days of affirmations, right? To change your life, or to change the way you see your life. And we want to elevate her. So this is the Elevate Her Challenge. You're watching Shiela and Danielle, and elevating life, elevating the love of self, your interactions, your focus, and your energy. Remember to join that Stop It Now movement. Anything you want to say, Miss Danielle?
Keep going. Keep riding the bike. No matter how many times you fall off, get up and keep going. You're gonna get there.
Get up and
But
you're
you
going
never
to get.
learn how to ride the bike without getting on it. So
And then once you learn, though,
you don't
you
forget.
never forget. Right. Thank you guys so much. Have a great holiday. Have a great weekend. Love you guys. We'll talk to you guys next week.
And love yourself.
And love yourself. Bye bye.